My name is Joe Strain. I'm a manager with PricewaterhouseCoopers in the Salt Lake City office, and I'm the spokesman for the Rocky Mountain region for the MoneyTree report. So we just released the Q1 regional MoneyTree data yesterday, and then the national data was released the day before. So the MoneyTree report reports on venture capital funded deals throughout the United States, and it only reports on deals that are funded during the quarter. There may be a term sheet in which $25 million is proposed, but if only $15 million is funded during the quarter, it's only the $15 million that is reported in the MoneyTree report. So a little bit of information on the MoneyTree report. I guess to get started, for the Q1 nationally, it was the largest quarter in VC funding since about Q3 or 4 of 2001. Had just over right around 7.1 billion in venture capital funding throughout the United States, a significant improvement from any time in 2002, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That was driven primarily by funding in California, venture capital deals. They gobbled up about 48 to 49% of the venture capital funding throughout the whole United States was in California. So on to the Utah data. Utah moved down a little bit from what we've had in the past 2 or 3 years. Utah had 25 million in venture capital funding in the quarter. It's still within a healthy range for Utah, which is somewhere between 20 and 60 million. It's definitely at the low end of the range, but it's still within the range of what we've been experiencing for the past 2 or 3 years. It's not as optimistic and aggressive as we've seen in some of the other markets, but it's definitely within a healthy range for Utah, the $25 million. The slide shows Utah's percentage of the overall funding, which you can see it's been going down from last quarter, and from 2005, 2006, 2007, we've been on a slow decrease. 2005 is a banner year for Utah with a number of large deals. We didn't see in Q1, we haven't seen any big deals in the venture capital neighborhood here in Utah, but it doesn't mean there aren't any coming down the pipelines. But just didn't see any during Q1, which kind of skews the results a little bit from prior years, where there were some large deals with some of the energy companies, the geothermal companies in 2005. There was a pretty significant deal. This one shows the number of deals as a percentage of the total. We're still holding steady on the number of deals, not a significant decrease, but we saw in Q1 we still had 6 deals, but there were a couple of small fundings, and particularly a couple of seed fundings that we saw during Q1. And then this is just the average deal size, where for 2004, 2005, and part of 2006, our deal size was larger than the average national deal size, where now in the later part of 2006 and 2007, our deal size has been decreasing while the national has been increasing. It's not necessarily a negative point, because the smaller deals are usually seed fundings and first rounds, which grow into larger deals later on. So we'll see if that comes to fruition in the next couple quarters and in the next year. You have some of these companies that are getting seed funding Q4 of last year and Q1 of this year, if they progress into later rounds of funding. And then this is just a list of the Utah companies that received funding during Q1. There's a couple of familiar companies on here. Control4 Corporation, Infopia, they received a significant round of funding in 2005, one of the companies that skewed that number up significantly. But there's also some newer companies like Wasatch Wind, received $3.6 million during the quarter from an East Coast VC firm. So,
excellent. What do you think the activity level is going to be the rest of the year? Think it's going to improve?
We expect this, a slight improvement. We didn't quite expect it to be this low for Q1. It could be just the timing of some of the deals, but I would expect that without any large deals during the quarter, that we'll see it stay within the $20 to $60 million each quarter range. Now, if if there's one of these large deals that come through with a high-tech company or one of these medical device companies, something that we saw before, you know, in '05, like with AMP Resources or Infopia, then we would expect it to be significantly higher. You know, we don't know of any of those big deals coming down the pipeline right now, but you know, it can happen. But with exclusive of anything like that, we'd expect it to be within the 20 to 60 million, which it's been for 2.5 years, and hopefully up towards the higher end of that range, rather than we've been hovering at the, you know, the 20 to 30 million for the last 2 or 3 quarters. So,
you know, last year Omniture had a great IPO. They had some out-of-state venture capital in their deal, and HP just announced they're acquiring Logo Works, has some out-of-state venture capital. Do you think that will help to catalyze more out-of-state investment in Utah?
I think so, and we've been seeing the out-of-state venture capital increasing, and even the Utah VC firms expanding where they're making their investments outside Utah. But you know, you look at the Wasatch Wind. That funding, none of that came from Utah-based VCs. That came from East Coast VCs, and we've been seeing that increase, you know, for the last couple of quarters. Now, you know, the majority of the Utah VC, or the Utah companies funded by VC, there's a Utah VC involved somehow, but it's rare when we don't see one even involved in any part of the funding, like we did with Wasatch Wind, where it was exclusively an East Coast firm. So.
Well, great. Thank you very much for being here with us, Joe.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.